case that's the anniversary only a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, 4 days ago, 4 days ago, Casey Anthony was basically acquitted of the charges that meant the most. What is your take on that case and your take on Mr. Jose Baez and Cheney Mason? What are your takes on how you think they did?
Well, I think that the evidence as I saw it against Casey Anthony was overwhelming. She engaged in so many misrepresentations, so many lies. I especially remember when she said lied to the police that she was working at Disney World, and they said, we can't find anybody that says you work there. She told the police, you know what, come with me. I'm going to bring you right to where I worked and my supervisor. And she walks with them, following her to Disneyland, and they go through some doors, and they go in some building, and they're like wondering what's going on here. And then finally she stops, and she says, no,
wait a minute.
I didn't work here. I mean, the girl's a nut. An absolute nut. And
so you don't think that, I was going to say, you don't think the father had anything to do with that baby, do you?
The father having anything to do? No. The only person that had anything to do with that baby was Casey Anthony. And then, a couple of days after the disappearance, she's over there dancing and having herself the time of her life, and I don't know, nude photographs. The woman is demented. The
child was missing.
Now, Jose
31
Baez,
days, and she said, give me a take on Jose Baez.
I don't begrudge
From the
Jose
Bronx.
Baez. He was initially from the Bronx. I didn't know him, but he came up with his defense. Now the question is, did he invent this defense out of whole cloth, which you're not supposed to do? You're not supposed to just create fraudulent defenses out of nowhere. If you have a defense, you have to base it on the evidence that you have or the lack of evidence, of inferences, things like that. But you just can't say, listen, you can't sit down with your client and say, listen, we're going to create this phony defense. We're going to say your father raped you when you were 5, because supposedly she said her father used to force her to perform sex on him when she was a kid.
And if
that's
you look
why
at
she always lied.
Right, and you remember the jailhouse tapes? It showed her talking to her father, Daddy, I love you, da-da-da-da-dee. You're the best father. Where would I be without you? She said that. Jury wasn't allowed to hear that, but she did say that. Didn't sound like somebody that would have did that.
I don't know that that's true, because people that have been victims of sexual crimes by members of their own family, they have they have allegiances to the person, and at the same time they are been victimized by the very same person. And I could see how a kid could say that about their father, even though their father was the one that molested them. I mean, it sounds It doesn't sound like that's the way it should come out, but quite often people that have been victims of people that are supposedly very close to them, their things are mixed up in their head. They still have allegiances to them, they still love them, but at the same time, they were the victims of this type of violence. So I don't know if I will put too much stock in that. But one thing I do know is that an attorney cannot sit down and tell a client, we're going to say this and we're going to say that, and you're going to say this, and we're going to come up with this lie. And this. If you do that, that's called subordination of perjury. And I'm not saying Jose Baez did that. I'm not saying Jose Baez did that. But if any attorney does that and creates a fraudulent defense out of whole cloth by having witnesses lie, they could be in trouble. That's inappropriate behavior.
That is totally inappropriate. And this story is totally inappropriate.